Good evening. Welcome to the Two Freaks Doing a Show. I am the Miles Revolution.
And over here we got Mixlum. Hello, everybody out there in podcast land. You've got both of us here, and we're going to be talking about everything that has to do with AGT today. I'm just a fan of the show. Miles Revolution's a fan of the show. He's probably a bigger fan than me. I consider myself a fan, but not necessarily a super fan. I haven't seen every season of this show. Miles, have you seen every season of this show?
Actually, not since its conception. No. I probably didn't get into it till several years after it was actually already on. What kind of got me roped in is one time I was sitting I was sleeping in a hotel room, and it was like I had nothing else to do, so I thought I'd flick on the TV, and voila, there was America's Got Talent, and pretty much hooked ever since then. So
yeah, I've been watching for years. I don't remember. This is season 18. I definitely saw some of the earlier seasons and then took some time off, came in here, there, and everywhere because mostly I remember Howard Stern as the host.
Yeah,
those are the years I remember watching most.
Yeah,
out of all of the years.
Yep, I remember the years when Simon Cowell wasn't even on there, and someone else doing it.
What do you think? What do you think about Simon? Do you think thumbs up or thumbs down as a judge?
Thumbs up. You know, he's could be pretty brazen sometimes, and that's actually still appealing, even all these years with them being there on American Idol, The X Factor, and America's Got Talent. You know, he still got that nice, straight to the point. You're really good, or you really ought to find something else to do.
So today's or not today, really. I mean, today's the day we're talking about it, but it was just the other day that we had episode number 1, our first audition show. So for those of you watching, what we're going to be doing is recapping these episodes. And from time to time, as we get them, we will have special guests. So we will tease them along as we go. We'll probably announce one at the end of this episode. So if you stay tuned, we'll tell you who that's going to be, hopefully for next week, as long as everything works out well. Miles, what would you say are some of your opening thoughts on episode 1? What would you think of it in a nutshell?
Episode 1 was actually pretty good. They didn't do very many X buzzers. They only had 2 acts total that they actually did an X on. So I thought it was interesting that they didn't have a lot of the throwaways, as it were. My first impression, and I think this was probably everybody who was watching the show's first impression, was when the dinosaur came out, my first thought that came to my mind was, you got to be kidding, they got Cedric on there again? Turns out it wasn't Cedric. It was what was his name? Patrick Chu, who did, what do you call that? Breakdancing in a dinosaur costume. And so that was an interesting way to start it. And I still remember Sophia making her comment that is like, I don't think, she even wanted the show to start after seeing the dinosaur walking the stage. So
I'm going to put the dinosaur on park here because I want to get to the dinosaur because I have words about the dinosaur.
Okay, all right.
I got beef with the dinosaur, actually. But before I do that, let me kind of give an encapsulation of what I thought about the episode. I wasn't into it. I wasn't that into it. I thought it was I thought there was really nothing that stood out to me other than one act. And as we start talking about the acts, I'll kind of get into that. But most were just kind of like, take it or leave it for me. And a couple of these, I wasn't even sure how it went through. Because the way that I watch the show is I'm trying to think of, and Howie always says this, what's $1 million act in Vegas? If I'm going to pay $50 to go see something, I'm thinking, am I going to pay $50 to see this? And I'm thinking, if they go on to the next round, do I want to keep watching them? And I didn't see a lot of acts tonight that have the thousands and thousands of people that try out for the show. I was surprised that some of them went through, and I was even more surprised that these are the best ones that made the show.
Right.
So I gave it kind of a 5 out of a 10 for a premiere episode.
Well, there were a few acts that were a disappointment to me. Not that they were bad acts, but my question was really, why are they on this show? And as we go through them, I will speak up on that, because I also went and I gathered the subscriber base and follower base of a lot of these acts to see if they're, people that are just performing in their closets and they've never been heard of before, or if there's someone who's actually been out there for a while. So right. I thought it was pretty interesting with some of the fame that some of these groups already have.
So I'm going to bring up the dinosaur guy first.
All right.
And then I'm going to kind of let you pick where we go from there, because I do want to make sure we hit on the dinosaur guy. And he came out and I was the same thing. Oh, we've seen this before. This is going to be one of these jokes. And then somehow this is a joke that got taken seriously.
Right.
I was like, how is this guy dancing in the dinosaur? And then everybody's cheering and people are dancing in the crowd. And then he got yeses from all the judges. I was like, yeses. Maybe this was all right dancing. I didn't see anything great. He was in a dinosaur costume. I don't want to see it again. I definitely can't see it as a Vegas act. I could see it as children's birthday party. It was a little funny, but to actually put through, I was like, this is crazy. What are these judges thinking? Was this just all a big joke on the audience and that people are buying into? How could this, out of all the thousands and thousands of people that try out, how did this go through? I don't get it at all.
Yeah, me neither. So I actually have him here. I muted him. And, here's this dinosaur. I mean, it was actually kind of cool to see a breakdancer in a dinosaur suit. But still, it was, I agree, how did he get on this show? And I actually went to look this guy up, this Patrick Chu, and I couldn't find him anywhere. So I'm really kind of, so we have, I made this slide here show with all the contestants. Now there's one guy that I didn't get, and I really wish I could have found him. I didn't catch his name. It was the guy who did the pole dance.
Oh, yeah.
And I would love to have him on this show.
They didn't show enough of him dancing.
Yeah.
They showed him jump up on the pole, and I was kind of excited to see this guy because I watch him. I'm getting a little hot and bothered, and then they just cut off, and everybody laughs, and they buzz him, and I was like, oh,
right.
I wanted some more of this. If you're going to tease us, you might as well show us the act.
That's right. Nothing like the pole dancer from Australia that was in there last season.
Yeah.
She was actually extremely good. So,
yeah.
Let's see here. Philip Bowen. Let's talk about this guy a little bit.
Okay.
This is the guy that played the violin.
Okay.
So I thought one thing that was kind of curious here, this guy has like 10,000 followers on various platforms, plus. And when I went to go and invite him to be on the show, a assistant said, well, I'm his assistant. And so I have to, check with him to see if he's available or what. And so I'm wondering, is this guy, how famous is this guy? I mean, is he that big of an act that he has an assistant where, that doesn't even, he doesn't even have time to deal with anybody as far as that goes. So
the act was cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. I mean, I'm not a big violin person, but I thought it was entertaining. But what I think with a lot of these sort of acts with saxophones and violins and trumpets and these things is I say they'd be very cool put with some other kind of act. I mean, this isn't something I really want to see again. Did I like it? Yeah, I thought it was cool. But I think he needs to be paired with a band or paired with something. And I'm guessing this is probably what the guy does. He probably plays around with a lot of different people. Those are probably mostly who's booking him, as he's probably playing with different groups around.
Right.
But again, am I going to pay $50 to watch this guy play the violin to a backing track for 2 hours? No. Um, but I mean, he's good. It's entertaining. It just needs to be with something.
Yeah, I think in the end, if they actually do go to a Las Vegas show or end up in a Las Vegas act, that they end up being on stage with several other acts. I don't know if you've ever been to one there or not, but like Cirque du Soleil or any of those other acts, they often have multiple things going on, multiple performers,
Okay.
and so I believe that's how they shoe in these people on the Las Vegas Strip.
Yeah, because I could see something like that.
And it makes it interesting that way.
Yeah.
So, and that's how I think that some of these acts would work in.
Right.
But this guy seems to be pretty busy. As I was going through all of his material, he's like everywhere. And I don't know if I should bring this up. Well, I'll bring it up with another act here. Where is it here? Steel Panther. This is the one that gets me. Okay. If you go and look at them, you'll notice that they have like 687,000 followers.
Okay, I was going to ask you, do you know who Steel Panther is?
No, but do you?
Yeah, I know who Steel Panther is. They're famous. They've had multiple albums. They have music videos. They're on tours. Like heavy metal people know them. But like they said, they're looking for a different audience. And I was like, I'd be interested if anybody's out there listening, tell us in the chat if you've heard of Steel Panther and how old you are, because I'm guessing AGT's fan base, 75% of people have probably never heard of Steel Panther, but they're famous. I mean, they play like arenas.
Right. Now,
they're a comedy rock band. They're kind of like, whatchamacallit, the movie Spinal Tap. Or they're kind of like Spinal Tap. They're a satire of 80s rock band. And they play a lot of kind of goofy hair metal stuff from the 80s with a bunch of funny, raunchy, PG-13 to rated R lyrics. So it's interesting to see them on AGT, which is a family show, because their regular music doesn't appeal to isn't really geared toward families.
Well, this is why I think I really question why they were on there in the first place. Because they're already a really big act. I'm going to guess they're a multi-million-dollar act as it is.
Sure.
That they've already found their place in the world. They found their niche. They're going. They've got, I think they said on the show 6 albums out. So this was kind of a disappointment to me that they were even on the show in the first place. Not that they're bad, not that they're not worth going to see, but I don't think it was a AGT act.
No, I don't think if you're that big, you should be on. You should be able to be on.
Yeah.
But maybe AGT liked him for the advertisements, and maybe it's something as simple as they haven't signed a new record contract and they're starting their own label, and they're like, we can make money by touring and these things if we get kind of a new audience with us.
Yeah. Sign up.
I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but I know there's not a lot of money in CDs and selling records anymore. So maybe if they think if they're on AGT say this brings more eyes on us, and a Steel Panther tours, they're going to get some new fan base.
Right. When I went to try to go and see if I could get them on the show, that was I just got lost in their messages.
And I'm just looking at the chat really quick. Robert says the lead singer is in the movie Rockstar starring Mark Wahlberg, and that's correct. I did see that movie. Good movie. But yeah, he's in that one. So yeah, the guy's even been in movies before.
Yeah. So no small time characters, are they? I mean, last season they had Drake Milligan, in there, and I see why he was on there, because he was kind of a nobody, even though he had been in the Elvis Presley movie. If you look at him, you almost think Elvis Presley when he's doing a show. Yeah. But he was really good, but he was just starting out, and so I really see why he was on there. But once again, I think he was also one of those people or one of those acts that would have been become a big act regardless whether he was on America's Got Talent or not. It's just America's Got Talent catapulted him, into fame. So
Sure. All right. Who do we got next?
we got, let's see here. This one, this was one of the exes, Nancy LaFancy.
Oh,
and,
right.
I don't have a picture of her up, but I don't know if there was anything really worth talking to that was really not worth watching.
No, I love the name. I'll give her credit for the name. The name made me laugh. Nothing about her made me laugh. She wasn't even funny. It wasn't even creative. So we can kind of move on from that.
Yeah, she did have a presence. 3G, whoops, did I, 3G, I couldn't find any web presence for them.
What did they, who were they? Oh, were they the Ukrainian ones?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And that one was really tragic to me because that first fall is like, I know there's a foot injury there. And then they kept going. I mean, impressive, and then they fell again. And, and I'm sure every acrobatic act has slips and falls and things that they just can't help. And being on stage, doing it in front of the, several million people audience probably didn't help them out any.
This act really kind of worked me up because at first I was like, this is cool. I love these kind of acts. To me, this is what AGT is made for.
Yes.
I love this kind of stuff. And as soon as they fell, to me, that's it. If you're doing things that are too hard for you, then this isn't the thing for you. And if you get too nervous with everybody, this isn't the thing for you. I'm sorry, it's cool. And I give you some credit for trying to do it over, but you fell again. And then they made the audience be quiet. If we're trying to, again, give you a Vegas show, $1 million contract, you're supposed to be a professional and you need the audience to be quiet and you still fall. And then you fall down again.
Right.
And they still put you through with 4 yeses. I don't want to talk about Ukraine and I don't want to get political here, but I feel they're put through on the story for the TV show. And I don't like it. If that would have been anybody else doing those same things without that Ukraine storyline, there is no way they go through. I've never seen anybody in the history of the show mess up as many times as they did to the point they have to quiet the crowd and put you through anyway.
Right. Well, now that they're doing the show a little bit differently, so they don't have the second round of cuts, I don't think they will make it through any farther. So I think they will probably be eliminated. And they probably just told them yes, just to make them feel good. And I hate to say that, but I think that's what they did.
Well, I'm not sure if they did it so much for them to feel good as it was to make the audience feel good. And this is one of the things I don't like on these kind of shows. And I think I'm in the minority here on this, but I don't like the stories. If I'm watching the show, I'm like just fast forwarding to the acts. Because I'm doing this podcast show with you, I'm watching the whole thing, stories and all. But I don't want to see Terry Crews and his weird comments. I don't think they're funny. I'm not a huge Terry Crews guy. I don't need the background story of where you come from. I like judging exactly on the act. And I feel like this is one of these things that these shows do a lot is they show the background story and they give you the emotion and they can put somebody through and the audience feels good. And then they kind of won't go any farther. They'll just kind of drop the story. But I feel like people watching the episode felt good about it.
I'll agree. That's all I want to do is that's all I want to talk about them.
Okay.
Who was next? Trig Watson, I think is the next guy.
Trig Watson.
He was the guy who actually did the first magic trick of this season. Okay. Or magic show, as it were, and did the giant, cell phone thing. And he doesn't necessarily have a big online presence, but it's not small either. I did have a brief Facebook messaging chat with him, And so he's actually out doing gigs. This is what he does for a living. And it's someone who we hope to be able to have, on our show at some point here. And, it was still a good act. A little bit different magic show than we've traditionally seen.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably something that they have to work on, and as far as magic acts go, is to find something that most people haven't seen before. Not just the usual card tricks.
I'm a big fan of magic acts. This is the other thing I like on AGT. It's one of the things I watch for. I love magic. I love illusion. And it's going to be really cool if Trig comes on with us, because I love magicians, so I love talking to him.
Magical.
Yeah, it's very magical. And did I love this act? No. Did I hate it? No. It was creative, but it was weird. It was like there was almost a screen behind him. They're like a screen behind the screen, because the stuff would come out and then it would kind of look fake until he grabbed it. And sometimes, like, there was, like, when he was grabbing the card, you could see the card kind of disappear before the one in his hand appeared. To me, it wasn't always smooth. Yeah. So I like the idea, but to me, it was just kind of falling flat on some things. So, but I have hope that his next thing will be better, because I think these guys have a lot of tricks up their sleeve because they're magicians. And although I didn't love this particular act, I think he's probably got something better coming up. So I would put him through. I wasn't mad that he went through.
No,
but wasn't by far not the best magic act I've seen.
The thing, my issue with the magic acts on TV, it's just not the same as being there.
Yeah.
And I think magic acts are always a whole lot more impressive when I'm there seeing it take place.
Yeah, I'm sure if you were there, it'd be really awesome.
Yeah. But he's a pretty nice guy. He seems to get around, and does have a following. This guy, the Kozo, this is the helicopter, the guy that tried to land on his rear end.
Oh, yeah.
I couldn't find anything on him. I wish I could have. But it just wasn't, I don't know. That wasn't an act that did anything for me at all.
He didn't deserve to go through, but no. I can say this was perhaps the most entertaining part of the show for me. I liked it.
You did?
I thought it was pretty cool. He botched the landing. I thought blaming it on the wind was a nice.
That was very that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. I was entertained by him. Would I have put him through? No, but I was entertained. I wouldn't have X'd him. I thought it was intense. My wife was watching with me, and she says it's just annoying watching him trying to land the helicopter. She was annoyed. I thought it was intense. I was like glued in the entire time watching where that thing was going.
Yeah,
I wasn't bored at all.
Well,
I'm here. I'm here for it. They could bring him back on a finale to do something, and I'd be here for him. I'd say bring Kozo back. I like it, but I like the Parmesan guy too. And people hated the Parmesan guy, but I was a Parmesan guy all the way.
I'm trying to get that guy on the show because he's around.
Yeah. If anybody knows him out there, if anybody knows Parmesan guy, like tell him.
Yeah, he's not on Facebook anymore. He's just Instagram. And so I've put some feelers out there to see if we can't get him on here. And maybe he'll even sing Parmesan for us.
Yeah.
Ben Lapidus or Lapidus or something like that, I think is the guy's name. Yeah.
Yeah. We're not exactly sure what your name is, but we like you.
Yeah. All right. This was the 14-year-old DeCorey Johnson. I found out when I went searching for him that his name's spelled a little bit differently depending on where you look for him. And he has a small following, and so this out of all the people that I found who has an online presence, he's probably got the smallest numbers as far as number of followers, number of videos, etc. And this is the kind of act that I I think is probably, as far as music goes, the perfect AGT act. This is what the show is finding people who are, the little elementary school program soloists who always gets all the solos. I think this is what this kid is.
See, I'm gonna almost entirely disagree with you on this.
Oh, really?
Because I don't like on AGT, and for those of you who don't know, Miles Revolution has gone to AGT multiple times to try out as a singer, but I don't like singers on AGT. Not because I'm not impressed by them, but it's the same reason I don't like dancers on AGT. We've already kind of got shows specifically for that. I like to look at AGT as more of a talent show of things you don't see on another show, like people that can stick their entire hand down their mouth or their throat. I like that stuff. I like contortionists and people that light themselves on fire. I like that kind of stuff. Whereas things like dancing and singing, I feel like we've already got So You Can Think You Can Dance and American Idol. Kids are a little different because maybe we don't have those. This kid, good voice. I'm not mad at it. I like it. I thought it was cool. I didn't love the arrangement of the song. But again, is this something I'm going to pay to see? No. Does he deserve some followers on his Instagram and his YouTube? Yeah. But I wouldn't have put him through. I mean, I wasn't so impressed that this is somebody I could see winning or something.
Well, the magic about AGT is it actually takes a broader age range than most of the other shows. I mean, you take, American Idol, you can't be any older than, is it 30? 30?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's like 16 to 30.
Yeah. I mean, it's a show that I actually would have liked to audition for, but by the time the show was on, I was already too old.
Yeah.
So, I was, there was no possibility there. And true, the voice, you can be an old person. I think the voice, though, is a little bit different, though, not to compare the two too badly on this show, but the voice is, it almost seems like people are not so much allowed to be themselves because they're put onto these teams. And so their name is kind of taken away, and you just basically, you belong to, Blake Shelton or whatever team you happen to be on.
Yeah.
I don't think that show is so much about the individual performer. Whereas I think America's Got Talent is focused a little more on the performer and their abilities and promoting that performer rather than just the team. So
sure. Okay.
So it's a little bit different format. Now I have auditioned for The Voice, but when I look back on it, to me, I think The Voice is just extremely intimidating. So more so than America's Got Talent. Just personal opinion, but that being said, that's that. Anything else about Corey Johnson that you want to talk about?
No, I probably wouldn't have put him through. I'm not mad that he went through, but if I was one of the judges, he wasn't so amazing that I'd push him through. Well,
he was more amazing than lots of kids that I've heard saying his age. So,
well, at first I thought he was. I actually thought he was younger till you said, because you said he's 14.
I think he's 14.
Yeah, that actually makes it less impressive for me because I actually thought he was like 11 or 12. But 14, I mean, that's a freshman in high school. I mean, well, if he's 14, he's probably going into his sophomore year. Or no, he's probably going into his freshman year. I don't know. I think there's kids in high school that can do it. Maybe not a lot, but, it's not crazy to think a kid can do that.
The thing that was kind of difficult with looking him up on social media is if he is only 14 years old, he really can't legally have a social media presence.
Sure. Yeah. Then it's harder to follow him and stuff.
Right. So, that's the way it is. Shadow Ace, the guy from the Philippines. This, to me, I really like this act. I thought that it was extremely, what's the word I'm looking for?
Was this the shadow? This is the shadow puppet guy.
Yeah. I thought that was a great act. Now maybe I haven't seen people do things with shadowing so much with their hands, but he did I think a really good job of presentation and making characters and people that I've never seen anybody do before. So
when I said there's one act I really liked, this was the act. This act really entertained me. I thought this was awesome. I love this kind of stuff. Again, this is the kind of thing I like on AGT. Not so much the singer, got that singer-songwriter with the guitar. I like this because it's very creative, and this is something I would pay money to see. I can see myself in a big theater paying $50 to watch a whole production of this with cool sound around it and a bunch of people doing this stuff and voices, and I don't know. I think it could be really cool. I mean, you can make a whole movie of this or a whole theater production of this thing. I'm here for it. I love it.
Yeah. He lives in the Philippines, and so it's kind of difficult to get a hold of him. We hope to have him on the show here in 2 weeks, though, if I can spill the beans. And so we do have him scheduled to be interviewed. And it's pretty awesome that we can have someone of his caliber on here. So I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, I'd love him to teach us how to do shadow puppets because he's really good at it.
Yep, he is. And he actually has a halfway decent following. Of course, that was the only thing I could find there was on Facebook. It looks like it goes by different names, whether he's on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube. I couldn't find his name on YouTube, and maybe he does. I don't know. But I think he's really got a good potential of going quite far in this competition.
Okay.
So, nice guy. Orlando Leyba. This guy was a comedian. Still is a comedian, as far as I know. Not a real big online presence, but that comedians is one of the things that I really look forward to on America's Got Talent. And I think there are people who don't always get the credit that they necessarily deserve. And I think Howie is actually justified in wanting just one comedian to win. I think that's a noble goal for him to have. I love comedians.
This guy, let me preface to say I love comedians too. I used to watch the show Last Comic Standing. If anybody had seen that, it was a reality show, competition show where they would see who's the last comic standing. Amy Schumer was on that show back when I watched it. I really like Last Comic Standing. They'd usually get rid of the comics I thought were funny. There's a lot of There's a lot of AGT people who have been on that I think are really funny, like Taylor. I loved Puff the Magic Dragon, or Piff the Magic Dragon. I love the girl. She's older now, but she had like the puppets, the transventriloquist girl. I like a lot of the comedy they have. This guy I didn't like. So if you're watching Orlando, sorry, but I'm sure you're a nice guy. I'd hang out with you, but I didn't laugh once. I didn't even kind of laugh. I didn't think this was funny at all. And I mean, I actually live in Idaho now, and I live not too far from Yellowstone. I know a lot of people from Yellowstone, and things he was saying were true. I've heard people say this stuff about Yellowstone, but just wasn't in a funny way to me. I don't know. I don't get it. It wasn't funny to me.
Well, I guess.
Yeah, Darcy Lynn Teresa in the chat. That's who that is.
Some are funnier than others. I was questioning though how he ended up on America's Got Talent, because he's been everywhere. He's been on other talk shows, other variety shows, etc. He's been around. And so back to like the Steel Panther, I'm not understanding how he ended up on America's Got Talent.
I didn't realize he was on other shows.
Yeah.
So he's pretty big.
Yes.
Like he has a following. Well, she said on the show he does it full time. This is his job.
Yep. He's all, you go to YouTube, he doesn't necessarily have a lot of his own YouTube channel, but he's all over YouTube on being on other channels and other places where he's done a show.
Huh. That's strange. I can't picture this guy being that big. I can't picture him being famous at all. So
yeah, what's the Family Feud guy?
Harvey?
Yes. I think he was on one of his shows, if I remember right.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Steve Harvey's funny either. Steve Harvey always just on Family Feud always just gives the Steve Harvey face of like he says something that he knows is sexually suggestive, and then when they give the sexually suggestive answer, he always acts surprised. And then he's like, "What? Why'd you say that?" And I'm like, "Well, he asked the question. You knew this was coming." It's just really weird. And yeah, Harvey's never funny to me. I don't like Harvey. But I haven't liked a lot of the, not to get off topic here, but I haven't liked a lot of the Family Feud hosts. I didn't like it when they had Al from Home Improvement. He was the worst. I didn't like Richard Dawson that just kisses everybody and you have no choice. There's no consent here. You just have to kiss him if you're on the show. Somehow they got away with that back in the day. But I digress. This isn't a Family Feud show, but no. I'm a game show fan and I know all the Family Feud hosts.
Obviously. Well, anyway, as far as Orlando goes, I think he will make it a little ways. I'm not sure how far he's going to actually make it in the show. I don't think he'll be in the top 10.
No.
I don't think he'll get that far.
No way. I got to believe there's some better acts coming up.
Yep. Well, I don't remember how many episodes they have before they start doing the, cutting people out. Was it 10 or 12 episodes?
Probably. Yeah, they do quite a few now because the format they do now is quite different.
Yep.
Because they only have the auditions and then they have a second round and then championship, right?
Yep. Well, the second round they actually do they just take all the names of everybody that said yes to, and then they pick 36 or something out of that.
Yeah.
38. So for all these people that they say yes to, they almost do some of them a disservice by saying yes in the first place, and giving them false hopes because we think we know that they're not going to make it past this initial audition.
Yeah, the only thing that yes does say is we're not going to kick you off the stage right now and say no. But it doesn't mean you get to actually do something again.
Right.
It just means you get your name put in the hat.
If I can mention this, as I was trying to find people to invite onto this show, I found a list of, several hundred previous contestants. So I thought, well, let's just go look them up and see if I can invite them. For the most part, America's Got Talent has catapulted all these people into gigantic followings. I mean, I don't think I found a single soul on the list as I started going down and who had less than 200,000 followers.
Wow.
And I think it's all attributed to America's Got Talent. So the show has definitely made careers for a lot of these people.
Yeah.
Now, for those who already had careers, once again, back to that same thing, I don't understand why they're on here. So,
yeah, I guess they must just be trying to reach a new audience or something.
Yeah. If we go back to where is he? This Shadow Ace. So he's been on 2 different America's Got Talent. He's been on Philippines America's Got Talent, if I remember right, and then there's an Asia America's Got Talent. And he was like one of the finalists in one of them. And
that was like that lady that was on. Did you watch last season?
The pole dancer, she won I thought she won Australia or something.
Yeah, it was her. Yeah, yeah, there was. Well, maybe there was 2 of them because one I'm thinking got voted off and then she got brought back. But she was on one of the Dutch one or something. I'm trying to remember what she did. Oh, she did the singing without opening her mouth, and she'd drive the car and sing. But yeah, a lot of these people, you come to find out, when they say, "Oh, you've come here from another country," a lot of times they've actually been on another country.
Right. Right.
Yeah, who knew?
Well, I guess that's why we go look them up.
Yeah, that's why people
Uh,
watch us, because we have the information everybody else doesn't have.
all right. Well, the last act was the Mazzani Youth Choir. This one was another surprise to me because they already have 40,000 followers. On Facebook, they have their own YouTube channel. So they're not unfamous at all. And I know it was an emotional moment for Simon when they sang the song that what Birdie, that's her name, right?
Yeah.
Sang. And so I get that. I get the emotional connection, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if anything, I'd say they did a really good job of planning what song to do.
Yeah, I knew these guys were going to go through right when they walked out, because it was the last act, and the
Right.
the last act of the show is, again, we're back into this feel good thing, and you're going to get the golden buzzer, and they're going to do slow-mo montage and all of these things. But I don't know. I mean, was it bad? No. Was it great? No. I mean, I started closing my eyes. I literally closed my eyes and I was listening to them. And you could have told me this was an all-star high school choir and I would have believed you.
Yeah.
But a lot of choirs sound the same to me. So what do I know? I'm not a musician. I'm just some dude that watches America's Got Talent. But when I closed my eyes and listened, I wasn't like, this is the most amazing thing I've ever heard. This could have been a ton of choirs.
Right.
I feel like they just sang a song that was emotional to the judges to get on TV, and they were like, yeah, and we're going to give you the golden buzzer for this, and everybody gives standing applause, and it's a TV moment. But this didn't blow me away by any means.
Yeah. They're not the what was it called? The Detroit City Choir that they got, what, third place a couple years
right.
ago.
Yeah, those guys, yeah.
I was actually in the building where I auditioned, I think. Was it the first year? I don't remember what year they were on there, but I was actually at the same audition location where that choir was. I remember hearing them in the hall sing. It's like, holy cow. And this, I hate to say it, but the Mazzani Youth Choir was not as powerful as the Detroit Youth Choir was.
Yeah, I mean, it was just fine.
Yeah.
But
once again, the emotional connection is the reason I'm sure that the producers put them into the show.
Yeah, made for good TV.
Yeah.
They made for good emotional TV.
And, me as a singer, if I would have been that smart to do an arrangement of that same song, that would be a good way to get on.
Yeah.
So, I understand completely why they chose what they did. Good planning. I congratulate them on that.
Yeah, kudos to them.
And they got the golden buzzer, of course, where the audience was the decision maker on getting the golden buzzer, which was a little bit different thing than they've done before.
Even when I don't like somebody going through on these shows, I always say, well, I'm not going through. So you obviously did whatever it was to impress the judges to get through.
Right.
These things aren't always about being the best.
Well, they're not.
They're about being the most marketable. They're about being the most entertaining. They're about giving the best story. They're about selling yourself to the judges to move through, and later selling yourself to the audience to move through. And so
Right.
I can say, hey, I didn't like this the most, but admittedly, I'm not the target audience for a lot of these shows. I like these shows and I watch them, and I always feel like I'm just not the target, because a lot of the people that I really like on these shows don't go through. This shadow puppet dude, I don't think he's going to go very far. And I think to me, Shadow Puppet Guy is like potential winner in my book. Like I don't foresee seeing maybe 5 more acts. We could be wrong, and we're on video here, but I don't foresee 5 more acts that I think are going to be better than this at the auditions for me. And I don't think a lot of people are going to agree with me on that.
They probably won't.
Yeah, because I love it. Like, that's the kind of stuff I love. I don't want to see more of the singing and more of these people falling down while they do their acts. I want to see more shadow puppets. I want to see more of these I want to see more magicians.
Well, the older I get, the more I've realized that it's not whether someone is extremely good or extremely bad. It's, do you have someone behind you who's going to market you? If they have, in this case, the producers, and if Simon wants to take you on in the end and market you, he can do it, and I'm sure will make money on it. This show, I've actually always envisioned it as simply a talent search for Simon's pool of talent.
Yeah. And I'm sure the majority of people who watch America's Got Talent have no idea what Star Search is. That's dating yourself with that reference.
Yep. That was an old show.
Yeah.
Kind
of like how you don't know who Steel Panther is.
Well, I probably did, but see, they're not my brand of music.
Yeah.
And so, if they were played on KGON there in Portland, I'm sure they were all the time, but I couldn't stand that station.
I'm not even sure. I don't know. And somebody else will have to pop in on this, but I don't think Steel Panther is a radio band. I don't think they've ever really been on radio. But a lot of bands like this now aren't. When you look at who's popular, so I'm in a job that works with youth. I work with a lot of teenagers.
Okay.
I work in the mental health field, but I'm around teenagers all the time. And none of them listen to the radio. None of them know any radio stations in town. Rarely. But what they listen to is Spotify or their playlists or these kind of things. Right. They're listening to what their friends are listening to and what's being recommended to them.
Correct.
And that's a lot of these bands that are really popular with teenagers. They're not on like terrestrial radio, just the regular radio.
Not anymore. They're not.
Listen to your car. Yeah, they're on all these streaming services and everything else.
Yep.
And I'm a lot older than I look to probably everybody watching. I'm in my 40s. And even to me, like, I still listen to the radio when I'm in the car. And
so do I. Yeah.
Yeah, but most people don't. People think that's funny. I still listen to radio and I sit through the commercials, but most people have their playlists. And so you have people like Steel Panther, who I've never in my life heard on the radio, and I listen to rock radio, but somehow are popular. I mean, they're getting streams.
Well, I actually went to a webinar about, a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, and they had a producer who's pretty famous, and he talked about today's market compared to what it used to be. And now the streaming is where it's at. It's not on radio. I hate to break it to you. And he actually said, and maybe I shouldn't even repeat this, but I will anyway, because it's my show. I can say what I want, right? He said for pop stations, he says that's basically one person scratching another person's back. It's not back in the olden days like Wolfman Jack would say, well, let's see what this song sounds like. Let's see if people like it. Nowadays, it's with the pop stations, they're told what to play, and that's what you play.
Yeah, and it's almost impossible to get on those stations because these stations aren't locally owned anymore. Like, there's a Z100 in tons of cities around the U.S. And all of these stations are owned by the same people, just like most of our media is, and they decide what's being played. There is no breaking in and getting your song played on the radio. That doesn't exist anymore.
Well, America's Got Talent knows what they're doing because all of these streams, all these acts that they're putting on, they go on to places like YouTube or other places where they're streamed over and over and over and over. That's the cash cow, is the streaming of all these acts. So if you went to, I don't know, let's Darcy Lynn or whatever, all the views, the millions and millions of views are on the AGT channels. I mean, Darcy, granted, she has lots of views on her videos, but the majority of them are still all AGT owned video.
Yeah.
And so that's the real winner there. So
Yeah.
whether somebody makes it, to the finals or not, I don't know if it is even as important as we might think, because if I can get a YouTube video or some sort of streaming video out of this person, they're a moneymaker to me, whether they go anywhere or not.
Yeah. Yeah. I know with American Idol, well, okay, I don't know, but I've heard that I think if you're in the top like 15 or something, I know if you're in the top something, but basically you're under contract with them for
Right.
X amount of years. I mean, the winner for sure, but they take a bunch of them like on tour for a while. And so a lot of your money and revenue is wrapped up in paying back Fox or whoever the heck is
Yeah.
in charge of American Idol. And that's with all of these shows. AGT is the same thing. I mean, they give you $1 million, but if you pause the end, I've done this and I can't remember all the stuff, but
It's annuity, 40-year annuity.
yeah, it's something like that, right? If you pause it and read the fine print, it says, yeah, it's over all these years and it's dependent on X, Y, and Z. You don't win AGT and they hand you a briefcase with $1 million.
Right.
You win and you get a contract that says you have to work for us for this long and you'll end up with this amount of money. But if you don't, this kind of won't happen. Like, they just don't hand you the money.
Yeah. I figured that for someone like me, 40-year annuity, I'll be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 57 years old at this point in time, and 40-year annuity, my kids would be inheriting the balance. And so I don't know. I didn't calculate out what it would be because we don't know necessarily what the interest rate is. But I figured, if someone was to cash out, I'm guessing they would get $300,000 maybe.
But if America's Got Talent wanted us to do this show for 40 years for $1 million, I'd take it.
If you're young enough, that's great. Then you're young enough to exploit. But I'm too old.
Yeah,
so
you're too old to exploit.
That's not a good deal for me.
Yeah, no one's going to control this show.
Yeah.
You're not taking $1 million over 40 years.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up here, what do we got going on that we want to plug?
Well, we do want
the people to know.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and plug Trig Watson.
Okay.
So he is going to be on our show next week.
And he's the magician, if you can't remember who it was.
Yep. We're pretty excited to have him. He told me that he'll be on a cruise ship at the time, so I'm assuming he's doing a magic show while he's there. But he said the internet access should be good enough that he can actually, come to our podcast here, and I'm really excited.
I wonder if
said,
he'll be able to
sounds
do
like fun, to be on the show. So that's really excited to me.
Yeah, I wonder if he'll be able to do any tricks for us while he's here.
Yeah, well, we'll see how it comes off on the screen here. Maybe you can.
Yeah, maybe you can do some kind of cool card trick.
And I guess we can go out 2 weeks farther and spill the beans that Shadow Ace is going to be on our show.
Shadow Ace.
Yeah, the guy who did the finger puppets or the finger or shadow stuff. So I thought that was absolutely cool. And he's excited to be on the show, even though he'll be in the Philippines at the time. So it'll be in the morning there. But it'll be awesome.
Yeah. So, that's going to be really cool. Of course, these people can't, under law, and their contracts give spoilers if they go on or not farther. Right. We don't know if they've gone on either. So we'll just have
we don't know.
And kind of see what's going on when they're on here.
That's right. Now, personally, since I still want to be on the AGT someday, I'm not going to ruin it even if I knew what the situation was, which I don't because nobody told me. I mean, I'm not important enough. I'm a nobody. But let's work with America's Got Talent, and if they say no to somebody, that's okay. We'll just roll with it.
Sure.
But I think we can make this a good show, and that we have some good acts. And this was just the first show on Tuesday. So next week we'll have another pool of people to invite, and we'll just keep this ball rolling and see how many of these acts we can actually get on our show here.
Yeah, and if you like us, if you happen to be watching us and you don't know who we are, or even if you do know who we are, you can like the video. That'll help us wherever you're watching. We're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. At least I know. Are we streaming anywhere else?
Yep, we're doing. Let's see here. We got YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Twitch.
Okay, so yeah, we're on all these. Like us anywhere. If you search the Miles Revolution, wherever you are, you're going to be able to find social media. Go ahead and like us, follow us, whatever that is. That will help us. And tell your friends that you watched us.
That's right. Tell them
and maybe invite a friend, because if you invite two friends and they invite two friends and they invite two friends, pretty soon we'll all have a lot of friends. And maybe some of you can even come on with us. We'll probably do some things in the future. If you're somebody who watches and you like us and you like to be on, maybe we'll invite you to the chat here and we can put you up on video with us, and you can share some of your thoughts on some of your favorite acts or least favorite acts that were on the show that week. So we're going to do this. We're going to do this live show every Thursday at this time. So
right.
6 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock Eastern, wherever you are in the United States. There's the music. So that means we're saying goodbye. So I'm Mixlum. He's the Miles Revolution. And we'll see you next time.
See you later.